Okay, bold claim. Are you ready for it? I truly believe that you can create whatever kind of life and business that you want to have. In this video, I'm going to share the one action that you can take right now to get that underway. And I'm also going to share with you 3 tips and philosophies that if you put them into practice, can massively increase the chances of making that business and life happen. And make sure you stay to the end. We're going to have a few special guest appearances. Let's dive into it. So step number 1 in terms of designing your life and being able to create the life you want is, maybe obviously, is getting clear on what that life looks like. Now that can be easier said than done, but the philosophy is that if you don't know what you want, it's very hard to go out and get it or go out and make it happen. So some things to think about, and we've actually developed a template for you, which you can download below to can help you think through these things. But as you're going through that template, what I want you to do, or what you need to do to be able to do it successfully, is to get rid of the thought of how are we going to make these things happen. So the idea is to give yourself complete permission to dream wildly on anything that you might want to be, do, or have in your life, and to get that written down on the life vision. The reason we don't want to think about the how is because who you are today is likely not the person that you're going to need to be to create the things you're going to write down. What I mean by that is you're going to grow as a person, you're going to develop more skills, you're going to shift some beliefs, you're going to develop different networks and connections with different people, and it's these things that are going to give you the ability to create bigger and better things in your life, which are probably the things you're writing down, that you aren't able to create today. So by some degree, creating and designing this ideal life is as much giving you a catalyst and a definition of the person that you need to become, as much as it is about those outputs, the things that you're writing down on the ideal life. But don't worry about that too much for now. All I want you to know is that you don't need to know about the how are you going to get these things done, how are you going to attract these things into your life. All you need to do at this starting point is get clear on what you want. So there's, as I said, a template you can download below there to get crystal clear on what your life looks like. In that template, I've also given you a 1-page sample of my life vision template. As it stands at the moment, it does evolve and change over time, but you can see how I've taken the ramblings that you might get from the template and I've put it into a 1-page succinct version that I keep on my wall and sort of front and center, just to keep myself, mindful of what it is that I'm doing. The other reason why this step is so important is it's going to start to serve as a criteria or a benchmark by which you can make decisions. Decisions about opportunities that come your way, decisions about how to invest your time, decisions about people that you may or may not want to connect or be associated with. So when you gain a greater sense of clarity on what you want, decisions start to become easier. It becomes much easier to say no to something that you can see doesn't align with that, and much easier to say yes to things that do align with that. So that's step number 1. Download the template below, or just do it yourself and start writing down what that life vision looks like for you. Step 2, 3, and 4, if you like, which are not really steps, they're more around philosophies and tips. The first one is, depending on the level of your visioning or dreaming, and depending on where you are today, there's going to quite possibly be a significant gap. And that gap's okay, it's absolutely fine. However, we need to acknowledge that, as I said just before, we're going to need to grow and change who we are in order to be able to bridge that gap and create those things in our life. And that can take some time. There could be some mental baggage that you're carrying, some limiting beliefs around what can or can't be done, around your association with money or what employees are like, or whatever it might be. There are going to be some things in your current thinking that are going to impact your ability to create those things. So step 1 is to be open to changing those things, firstly becoming aware of them and then changing them. But the other component, or step 2, is to know that it's going to take possibly some time to make those steps. And that's okay. This isn't an exercise in write this thing down and tomorrow it turns up on your doorstep, where you just got to sit and pray to the manifestation gods and all of a sudden it turns up. There is absolutely work to be done. And depending on what your current thinking state is compared to what it needs to get to create the things you've written down, there could be some time lag in there. So be prepared for that one. Point number 3, or tip, this one is an actual tip on how to help yourself to create this life, is to be very conscious about the environment you create for yourself. And there's really 3 aspects to your environment. Number 1 is your physical environment, and by that I mean the things that are around you, the things you can see, and a couple of things like the mind map example I gave you of my thing. That's an example of how I physically affect my environment, because I have that there so I can see it. Your mental environment I define as the information that you're exposing yourself to, the things that are going into your mind. If you are watching a lot of regular media, you're really becoming programmed by those things. So we can be very intentional about how we choose to program ourselves, who we listen to, what books we read, what we watch, all those sorts of things. Be very conscious that you're taking in information that is going to help you to get to where you want to be, not hinder you. And the other aspect of your environment is the emotional environment. And again, keeping it simple, defining emotional environment as your relationships. So the people you choose to have around you should be those that are going to help you get to where you want to be, not those that are going to hinder. So point number 4, or our third tip or philosophy, and this is possibly the most important one, well, they're all important, let's face it, is knowing that as much as you're writing your life plan, which is obviously about you, your life vision, achieving it is not about you. All the things that you have written down, whether they be things you want to become, things you want to have, or things you want to do, in order to create those, there's a law of physics that says inputs equals outputs. And if we think of all those things that you've written down as outputs, the inputs are, what are you going to give in order to have all these things come to fruition? And that's largely about serving others. So we have to, and this is why I'm so passionate about business, is because businesses have an enormous scale to be able to have an impact on other people, to be able to add value to other people's lives. And when we can do that and we can give to others, then that is what the return that we get back from that when we do it well is what can go into creating that ideal life that we've mapped out for ourselves. Another little tweak on that is it's very important, or it's understanding that the emotions that we hold, in our emotional state, how we feel in the moment, has a level of power in terms of moving us toward that life that we're looking to create. An example might be, if you're feeling anxious or fearful about something, that emotional state has very low power, versus feeling love and gratitude has a very high power. And typically feelings of anxiety and fear kick in when we're thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about how difficult something might be or the problems we've got in front of us, versus when we're thinking about how to serve others and how to give to others, we're more in those higher states of love, connection, service. And those emotional states have a lot more power, as I said, to propel us towards where we want to be. So whenever you find yourself in one of those states that you know are a lower level state, there's basically only two. There's love and fear. Every emotion is a scale within those. Whenever you're feeling yourself on the fear side, odds are you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about your problems or your difficulties. What we need to be able to do in that moment is to shift our focus to think about others and how we can help others get more of what they want. Zig Ziglar said it best. He said, you can have anything in life you want if you can help enough other people get what they want. All right, so there you have it. One action, and that one action. They're writing it down. Like, writing that down is so important. It's one thing to have the thoughts, right? Here's what I know I want or what I think I want. The thoughts can be fuzzy, but when you have to physically write it down or type it out, it forces you to get really clear. It's a form of commitment, if you like. So don't skip over that step. And then those 3 tips or philosophies that you can apply to help move it forward. So hopefully you find that valuable, and I implore you to take action on it because, well, I know it works. You can download that sample below, the template, so you can get started and see a sample of what my life mind map looks like. And remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel right there, and you'll get notified of upcoming videos as they come out. Thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, you can write them below. Love to hear from you and answer any more questions we can. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Lucky I finished that just in time for Buddy to get in the camera. Say hi to the camera, Buddy. Say hi to the camera. He's camera shy. Say hi to the camera.
Hi.
Hi. What's the most important thing if you want to achieve something?
I'm saying I can do this.
Saying,
I can really do this.
I can really do this, yeah. Having the mental belief.
It also works for Buddy.
Does it? How does Buddy use it?
He says, I'm going to do this.
No, over there, Buddy. Go away. Go away. Go away. Good boy. Go on. Go. Go.